What up, though, people? We finna get straight to it, man. In Chicago, some people shot at the ICE agents. So if you unaware, I'm finna show that video for you right now, and then we go jump to what Tom Homan had to say.
In little villages, protesters once again confront federal agents conducting immigration enforcement.
The Department of Homeland Security says shots were fired at agents. WGN's Angelica Sanchez tells us how it all unfolded.
Well, what happened here today spanned multiple locations and ended in more than one arrest. Those that call us community home say they've had enough. On Saturday, protesters and neighbors confronted federal agents and Chicago police officers in Little Village. Tensions hit a boiling point near 23rd and Sawyer. But that wasn't.
Oh, look at the chaos. Look at this chaos. This is crazy. Look at this.
Saturday, protesters and neighbors confronted federal agents and Chicago police officers in Little Village. Tensions hit a boiling point near 23rd and Sawyer. But that wasn't the only location. The Department of Homeland Security says Border Patrol agents near 26th and Kedzie were shot at by a male driver in a black Jeep, while others threw paint and bricks. Cell phone video shows agents get out of their vehicle on Kedzie. Employees of nearby businesses tell WGN they sheltered indoors after hearing gunfire and a crash. DHS says the confrontation highlights escalating aggression toward law enforcement. Chicago police were called for assistance. We're told an officer conducting traffic control near 26th and Troy was struck by a vehicle and suffered.
This is total chaos, man. I know I said I wouldn't go to New York no more. I'm never going back to Chicago, New York, or LA. Them three, I won't go there for nothing. I'm straight. I don't want to go there for nothing. I'm good.
Minor injuries. But those who live here accuse federal agents of being aggressive towards them.
These are people terrorizing my community, and my tax dollars are paying for it.
Alderman,
where is y'all at when all the gangs doing it? Do she got a video when the gangs doing it? Especially Chicago. What are these people at when it's 30, 60 people killed over a weekend? Where are these people at?
Byron Sigcho Lopez says he asked agents for warrants and identification after hearing they attempted to detain a man in a vehicle with a child inside.
When we arrived here, there was an 11-year-old little girl trying to be dragged by these masked individuals, and the neighbors are trying to surround to make sure that they didn't take her. They didn't take her.
He says witnesses told him agents broke the window of the car.
Look at what they've done to our community since 10 a.m.
You see, it's the way people explain a story. He making it seem like just masked man jumping. No, Border Patrol agents hopping out trying to get the illegals up out of there, and y'all trying to protect them. Call it what it is. Stop trying to see. That's why it's always, I hate when people try to tell you their story. They leave out key information just to try to make you think the way he thinking. Now, if you didn't know that these is Border Patrol agents and just listening to him, you would have thought just some random street guys doing this.
Sadness, this is outrageous.
Once federal agents cleared 23rd and Sawyer, protesters turned their attention to remaining CPD officers conducting crowd control. Our cameras captured more than one protester taken into custody. It's been 2 months since the Trump administration launched Operation Midway Blitz. Those who live here say they've had enough.
I'm asking them to de-escalate.
Yeah, they should.
I live here. My daughter goes to school here. We're trying to go shopping. I went to Walgreens. It's ridiculous.
Go to Walgreens then. You don't got to be right there.
It's enough already. This needs to stop.
Now, CPD says no federal agents were injured during the shots fired investigation, that DHS is handling the investigation. It's unclear how many people were detained today. Reporting in Little Village, Angelica Sanchez.
Oh, it's a total chaos in Chicago. It's about to be chaos everywhere. If you listen to that good word, it's going to be chaos everywhere. But let's get over to Tom Homan.
Tom Homan. Tom, thank you so much for joining us. Mike's report there is a little bit disturbing When you hear that there's basically an all-points bulletin out by a street gang, the Latin Kings, on ICE agents, is that is this? Are we seeing this kind of war between our federal government and these cartels and street gangs boiling up, or is it too soon to kind of make a determination?
I love Tom Homan. I ain't gonna lie, dog. I know he finna say something crazy. Look at his face. You can just tell. Look at his face. You just know he about to say something.
On that.
Oh no, it's there. It's been there, and it's getting worse. And I said, Joey, back in March on a Fox show, I said if the hateful rhetoric continues, especially from members of Congress, saying comparing ICE and Nazis and racists and the Gestapo, there's going to be bloodshed. This shooting at the Border Patrol in Chicago, just the latest shooting. We had a shooting at a Border Patrol facility in Texas a few months ago. That shooter was killed by Border Patrol. We had another guy showed up at an ICE office in Dallas, killed 2 detainees. He shot himself. Another guy showed up at a detention facility in Texas, wounded a local police officer that responded to the scene to help the ICE officers in that facility. Several aliens have been shot and killed during these operations. And the bottom line is the bloodshed is going to continue as long as the rhetoric continues, especially from members of Congress. It emboldens the bad guy to take actions against ICE and Border Patrol agents.
Yeah, you'd imagine Pritzker Johnson will do something about
He ain't
it.
lying.
Well, Tom, it's great to talk to you. I want to stick with
Like how that scene was out there in the street. You can't tell me that it's finna lead to bloodshed. It's finna just be all right shootouts, man. Cause people going crazy. People is losing their minds. It's going so crazy. People losing their minds. You got people coming in here illegally. You got black people killing black people. You got white people shooting up shit. You got Arabic people planning terrorist attacks. You got the only people you don't really hear nothing from is the Jewish and the Chinese. They the most low keyest people. You don't hear nothing from them. Everybody else is at war, chaotic, chaos. Everybody else.
Chicago right now because their illustrious mayor, Brandon Johnson, is asking the United Nations to intervene to stop your operations. Here is what he said before the UN Human Rights Council. Listen to this.
The federal government's immigration enforcement has been marked by violence
I can't stand
and
him.
an assault on the dignity of all Chicagoans. I call on this council to hold the federal government of the United States to the same standards of accountability you apply elsewhere.
This is the worst mayor ever. Ever.
In the world. No country should be above international law. I urge the Human Rights Council to consider additional measures of accountability, including a special session to examine the worsening human rights crisis in the United States.
Tom, this is just pure lunacy, but what is your reaction to all of that?
He's just proving he's not that smart, right? I mean, asking the United Nations to talk, interfere with ICE enforcing U.S. law. It's like asking an arsonist how to stop a fire, because the UN, remember, the IOM, the part of the UN, helped fund the mass migration during the Biden administration 4 years, spending millions upon millions of dollars helping that migration, international migration, come to the United States. So, the United Nations is not going to tell President Trump what to do. President Trump was put in office on the promise of making this country safe again, on the promise of having the historic deportation operation. That's exactly what America is getting. Every criminal alien ICE and Border Patrol takes off the street makes this country safer. We have the most secure border in the history of the nation right now because of leadership of President Trump, the men and women of the Border Patrol, and because ICE. What ICE is doing in the interior every day, they've sent a message across the globe. Don't spend your life savings, cross the border illegally, think you're going to get away in the United States. Because of what ICE is doing, people aren't spending their life savings, putting themselves in harm's way. Thousands of people aren't dying making that journey. Thousands of Americans aren't dying from fentanyl because of that secure border. But the actions of the interior, the ICE and Border Patrol, has a lot to do why we have the most secure border in the history of this nation today.
And you're doing such a great job, Tom. Kevin Cork here. You're also limiting trafficking. People don't talk nearly enough about that. This administration has done so much to try to curtail what has been been an absolute disaster for so many young women and children who've been trafficked across the border. Now, I want to turn for just a moment to ICE detainments. You may have read this. CBS is actually reporting that there are somewhere in the area of 66,000 detainees in ICE custody. That's a 70% increase, by the way, since the president took office, and it's a new record high. But there are others, Tom, reporting that ICE is now considering buying large warehouses to hold the influx of illegal aliens. And so I'm wondering tonight if you can give us any insight on this and its capacity
We're gonna need way more than warehouses. You talking over millions of people came over here illegally.
becoming a real issue, and if so, how are you dealing with it?
Well, I looked at the numbers about an hour ago. We're about 65,000.
Okay.
But hold on tight, because we're going to soon be at 100,000. Right beginning of February, I spent hundreds of trips up to Capitol Hill talking with the senators and congressmen, the big, beautiful bill, telling them why we need 100,000 beds. And we're going to get those 100,000 beds very soon. And the reason why there's 100,000 beds, because an average bed turns over 10 times a year, right? The average length of stay is 30 to 35 days. So every ICE bed turns over 10 times a year. Well, you got 100,000 beds, and those beds turn over 10 times. What do you got? You got 1 million. So, 100,000 beds will come online soon. And so if people are having a fit about 65,000, you're going to really have a fit when 100,000 beds are online. That's what we need to do this operation. Everybody we arrest needs a bed, because we don't simply arrest somebody and put them on a plane within a half hour. They got to be bedded down. They got to get travel documents and plane arrangements and removal, itineraries put in place. So we need a bed for everybody arrest. So 100,000 beds was the game plan, and it's coming soon. And when we get the 100,000 beds and 10,000 new agents, you think we're doing well now? We got historic number of deportations right now under President Trump. Those numbers going to pale in comparison to next year.
Hey, Tom, it's Nicole Sapphire. I want to switch gears, go to the New York City mayoral election. It took
100,000 beds. Let's go jump to a meal ticket in a minute. They getting everybody out of there. They been he ain't playing. He ain't playing. Let me see what they got to say about New York. Madami always come up.
one day for Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani to start threatening ICE. Take a listen.
To ICE agents and to everyone across this city is that everyone will be held to the same standard of the law. If you violate the law, you must be held accountable. And there is sadly a sense that is growing across this country that certain people are allowed to violate that law, whether they be the president or whether they be the agents themselves.
Now, Tom, you had mentioned earlier that political rhetoric such as this really emboldens these bad guys for violence against ICE officials. And the DHS has reported up to 800% increased assaults against ICE and Border Patrol officers this year, all while staffing remains stretched thin. So my question to you, Tom, is, what are we doing to protect these agents on the ground? Are the current laws strong enough to deter violence against them, or does Congress need to do more?
Well, Pam Bondi and Department of Justice really stepped up. I looked at the number of Title 18, United States Code 111. That's the impeding and interfering ICE law enforcement officers, just federal law enforcement officers, and we're at historic level of prosecutions. We're going to continue to prosecute. So Mamdani needs to take a look at what happened in Chicago. Mayor Johnson's pushing back. He's not helping. But guess what? We're arresting thousands of people in Chicago every week. We're going to arrest people there tonight. We're going to arrest people there tomorrow. All these mayors who don't want their community safer, they can scream and yell and protest all they want. We're going to be out there tomorrow and about the next day. And like I said months ago, in sanctuary cities like Chicago and New York, we will flood the zone. The more agents we hire, we're hiring 10,000 new officers. They'll be flooding the zone in sanctuary cities. Why? Because we know we have a problem in sanctuary cities. We know they're releasing public safety threats from their jails every day back in the community. If he was smart, he led us into Rikers Island so we can arrest a bad guy in the safety and security of a jail rather than him releasing people to the street to reoffend against citizens of the city. So we're going to make New York safer again. With or without him, we would like his partnership, but if you want to stand by and let us do his job for him, that's what we'll do. We're going to make New York safer, New York City safer. President Trump made that promise, and we're keeping that promise. Every criminal alien we take off the street of Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, makes those neighborhoods safer. So you ought to be calling President Trump up and thanking him for making his neighborhood safer.
Bye.